B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Imagine you're invited to a party to your friend's house or your cousin's home. And in the middle of the party, you need to use the restroom. So you go to the restroom, and your curiosity takes the better of you, and you decide you want to go through the medicine cabinet. I'm not judging anyone, but I know some people sometimes get curious on what things people keep in their homes, and you decide to open the medicine cabinet. You open it, and you see piles and piles of medications, ointments, prescribed for so many different things, mental, physical, emotional, for nothing. And then you go home that night and think to yourself, wow, I can't believe how much medication Joe takes. Almost want to feel like, why I don't have that much medication? Why don't I have all those prescribed medications? Would you feel that way? It's stupid, right? No one in their right mind would go through someone else's medicine cabinet and look at the medications and wish that they also had those same medications. It's crazy. However, that's how we do in life. We see what other people have, and we neglect to see what other things there are that could be beneath the things that they have, that we so want. And we feel like we just want to pick and choose the good things for ourselves. Jealousy is the core of so many problems in the world, the core of strife. In today's parasha, Parashat Korach, we see how Korach and everyone that was around him, everyone in his group, they were destroyed. Why? Out of jealousy. Strife that was caused through the jealousy of Korach, being jealous of Aharon and Moshe for their God-given honor. The Chidah HaGadosh says something unbelievable. The Chidah says the word for jealousy in the Torah is kin'ah. Kin'ah, the word kuf, nun, aleph, hey, stands for Cain, Nachash, Opheh, and Haman. These were the four people in the Tanakh that were erased or punished in history because of the same reason. Kin'ah, jealousy. Cain was Hevel's brother. He was the son of Adam HaRishon, the first being, the first kids to be born into this world from a mother and a father. He was jealous of his brother, and he killed his brother, and he was cursed afterwards because he became the first murderer ever. Imagine, to be the first murderer ever. The Nachash, the Chachamim tell us that the snake that became cursed for fooling Adam HaRishon and Chava for eating from the tree, he was actually, his motivation was jealousy. The snake was jealous of the beauty of Chava, Eve. Aleph for Opheh. Opheh was the baker that was in jail with Yosef HaTzadik and with the cupbearer of Pharaoh. And our Chachamim tell us, the Opheh was jealous of the cupbearer. His jealousy got him to also want to have his dream interpreted. And we know where that got him. He was hanged. And lastly, Haman. Everybody knows the story of Haman and how he was outraged by the fact that Mordechai, why should Mordechai have all this honor? Why? Even though he had all the honor in the world. He had the ring of the king. His jealousy was the type of jealousy that he didn't want what Mordechai had. He just didn't want Mordechai to have it. And that's the worst type of jealousy. Jealousy is something that uproots a person from this world. It completely removes someone from reality. And it kills something within the person. It's almost like you're not the same person anymore. Because you're constantly thinking of what other people have. There was once a boy. His name was Avraham Yitzchak in the early 1800s. And he was the son of a shoemaker. Not well-to-do at all. Barely made it through the week. But the shoemaker was a righteous man. And the only thing he wanted for his kid, for Avram Yitzchak, was for him to become a Talmid Chacham, to go to yeshiva and learn. And in those days, yeshiva meant you got a tutor, you got a rabbi to tutor your kids, and they would learn with them. And he would save up money and send his kid to the best yeshiva to study Torah. And every day this boy was very bright. And in the same school, learning from the same Rebbe, were two kids of the rabbi of the town, Rav Gedalia. The rabbi had his two sons in the same exact class as the shoemaker's son. One time when this rabbi, Rav Gedalia, was sitting down and learning with his kids, which weren't too bright in their learning, even though they were some of the better kids in the class. He was sitting and learning with them, and he notices the shoemaker's kid, Avram Yitzchak, how bright he is and how talented he is. And he couldn't understand how a shoemaker's boy is so much brighter and so much more sharper than my kid. I'm the Rav, and my kids can't be what that boy is. And the jealousy started to flare up, and he just couldn't help it. And he finally started devising some horrible plan in his mind. One day he goes to the Melamed, the Rebbe, and he says to him, listen, I know you have this shoemaker's boy in your class. You know their family's not doing well. The father barely makes it through the week, and it's really expensive to have the kid in your class. You know, I heard him learning, and he didn't look like he was doing so well in his Gemara and his Talmud. How about letting him go play outside in the yard while you're teaching Talmud, and then just bring him back when you start teaching Tanakh again? And at least when there is less hours, you're being paid by hours, you'll charge the family less. And the Talmud, the Melamed starts to argue with the rabbi, but he's the rabbi of the town. He says, okay, if you feel he's not doing well enough, then fine. And he starts letting the kid go out to recess during Gemara class, during Talmud class. And he tells his father the same thing. And the father, even though he did not agree with it, what is he going to say to a rabbi that's telling him his son's not making it? Months pass, and the Melamed decides to leave town, possibly because he couldn't take it anymore. He knew there was something wrong here, and he couldn't stand up for the truth, so he left. A new Melamed comes in, and as he starts teaching, he notices, why does this kid always leave the class as soon as I start Talmud? Seems like he's bright. Why does he go outside and play? Then he follows the boy, and he notices that when he goes outside, he's not even playing. The poor boy comes behind the door, puts his ear on the door, and listens to the entire class. Then when he asks his father, he finds out exactly what went on. And he lets the boy back in, and he realizes that not only this boy had not gotten behind, he surpassed everybody in his class. And he starts going higher and higher. And unfortunately, Rav Gedalia's kids lose all interest in Torah and mitzvot. Years pass, and Avram Yitzchak becomes Harav Avram Yitzchak. And he comes back to town, and one day he was invited to this synagogue that Rav Gedalia was the rabbi of. And Rav Gedalia asks Rav Avram Yitzchak now to give a speech. And when he gets up and speaks for the public, Rav Avram realizes his greatest mistake. And he breaks down, kisses the boy on his forehead, and he starts to cry. Because he realized what his jealousy had brought him. He lost his son's interest in Torah, and whatever Hashem wanted anyway happened. See, what we don't realize is jealousy is something that is so fake, it has no grounds. Because at the end of the day, what you're supposed to have, you're going to have it. What your neighbor's going to have, they're going to have it. By you or me being jealous of somebody else, we'll never gain anything. In fact, one of the rabbis once told one of his students that came to him with a complaint. He said, Rabbi, I'm not doing so well in my business, but my neighbor's doing so much better. He always has customers in his business, and I never have any customers as many as he does. And it's killing me. I'm very jealous. I don't know what to do. I know it's wrong, but help me out over here. The rabbi says, I'll tell you what to do. Every time you see customers in his store, pray for him. And say, thank you, Hashem, at least he has a good parnasa. Give him more. Trust me, it'll be difficult for you. But after a while, it'll get easier. And guess what? Your parnasa will become better and better every day. Because Hashem will see that you are happy for someone else's progress, for someone else's success. And that's what we learn from our Chachamim. It's unbelievable. When the Rashash came from Teiman into Eretz Israel, he was an unknown tzaddik. No one knew how righteous he was. He was the head of the Mekubalim, the Kabbalists. But in the beginning, nobody knew. And the head of the yeshiva, of the Mekubalim, the Kabbalist yeshiva, those that learned Kabbalah, was somebody else, Rav Hayun. And once Rav Hayun noticed how great the Rashash is, and he's one of the hidden tzaddikim, and he realized little by little that really the Rashash is a big Talmid Chacham, he put the Rashash, he went up to him and he said, from now on, you're going to be the head of the yeshiva. I'm going to sit as one of the Talmidim, as one of the students, and learn from you. That's greatness. Greatness is when we realize the emet, the truth, and you stand it up like a flag. That's emet. Emet is when Hillel HaZaken, Beit Hillel, who was the Nasi in his time, Hillel the elder, when he was first noticed, he was a poor beggar. He used to chop wood for money. That's all he did. People did not know what a Talmid Chacham he was. But when he did become noticed, when people realized how great he was, he became the Nasi when the two Nasi'im, the two leaders of the generation at the time, stepped down to give their position to Hillel, not because they were asked to, because they realized Hillel is actually greater than they are. Now, we've seen the opposite of that happen quite often. When people see someone better than them, smarter than them, more successful than them, do they decide that, hey, he deserves so-and-so more than I do? Or do we try to bash that person to find some excuse, some reason why they're not as deserving as we are? That's the lesson we have to learn from Parashat Korach. It doesn't get anywhere. Korach lost everything. His family was wiped out, and everyone around him got wiped out. Because God has no patience for jealousy and strife. Because when a person is jealous of what someone else has, we're basically saying, God, you don't know what you're doing. Because if you knew what you were doing, he wouldn't be as successful as he is. I would be. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.